Hi everybody, Nick Blazer here with another position analysis video. This is another, I guess I would call it kind of complicated game plan strategy. It's more middle to late game. If we spend a little time looking at this, we see black's very near the end of the road for cashing in on their racing against the 22-point anchor kind of game. Just needs to escape a back checker. White has a lot more room in the position being down 60 pips, so yeah, look at this one a little bit and figure out how you'd uh, how you deal with that. But yeah, so you can keep up with these videos by subscribing to my channel. Please give them a like and comments and stuff like that if you enjoy them. That really feel like helps with engagement and stuff like that. Seeing everything grow on that too, which is really cool. I appreciate everyone's interest in it. And you can keep up with things going on with me at nickblazer.weebly.com. You can go there for information about like lessons in the book and all like commentary that I've done that's not on my channel, archives of that. It's a lot of cool stuff over there. You can keep up with me posting about things going on currently on Facebook as well at that nick.blazer.backgammon. And my adjusting to match playbook is available on Amazon. So if you want to learn more about kind of a simpler approach to handling how match play is different from regular unlimited games, I've got a book for you there. There's cool reviews on it there too, so you can go check that out. But okay, let's get into this position. We've got a 3-5, and it might seem pretty natural if we don't think too much about the strategy of the position to just enter and clean up a blot and like with 10 to 5 and proceed, right? But I'll go ahead and spoil it with the results here. Our best play is actually bar to 17, and it's not all that close by quite a bit here. And we can see we're a decent favorite after running out there, and we're a small underdog if we don't. So what's going on in this position? Why does the sort of instinctual thing of just entering and cleaning up a blot against a 4-point board, why doesn't that work here? Why do we want to come out and volunteer an ace? Why do we want to risk being hit in the outfield? It feels like we can lose some gammons here, and we can see that in the result that we will lose more gammons with the best play here. It just wins enough more and wins enough gammons of our own in the numbers there. So this is kind of a tricky one, but I think if we can narrow in on what our real plan is for winning, that can help us quite a bit with this position. And so the plan here, being down so much, is well, being down so much, we also want to err on the side of purity. So that can help us kind of find hopping out and doing like making some risks to make sure that we have good containing structure and we're working around the board to keep that black checker from escaping. But that's our real plan here, right? Right now, the only liability that black has really, or the most urgent one, is that checker stuck back on our 2-point. And we want to do whatever it takes to keep that checker back there. And so if we come in 10 to 5, then our opponent can run with sixes and have a good amount of freedom and only risk a single shot. And for sure they're going to do that, maybe with the ace 5 as well, something like that. But a lot of sixes are going to hop out and make a bid for freedom, maybe clean up the blot so they don't get hit on the 18 point. That's what a lot of the follow up's going to look like. And if black gets away with that sequence, they're pretty well in the driver's seat in this game. We might have enough contact with that 16 point. Could cause enough difficulty to still play this out later with 3-back, but we're way down in the race. We do lose some gammons here, so it's going to be a bit scary if he can escape there. But our opponent really doesn't have much at all until they've gotten that checker running around, right? In fact, they might even be hesitant to clear the 16 point in advance with the checker back on the 23, because then that's going to give us even more freedom to control the outfield and really make sure that our opponent can't run. But so if we look at hopping out to the 17 here, we do maybe lose a little on aces. We're not going to be super excited. Let's look at the final position here. We're not going to be. Our opponent might gain some when they hit and can continue with a lot of their aces, but we can see that the ace is going to create quite a few blots in the outfield, and they're probably only going to be able to clean up like one or two of them at most. And so we're going to get a good amount of returns from the bar even when they do hit and break. Um, and additionally, they haven't done anything about escaping their back checker when that happens. So it's not the worst thing to kind of bring a distraction play over to this side of the board and encourage our opponent to to focus on that instead of the big priority of escaping the back checker. The other thing it does is when it's missed, when our opponent rolls a 6 and tries to run, a 6-1 might hit now, I'm not sure. A 1-5 could run before, but it runs into a double shot. So that's what I'm getting at. The 6-2, I'm not sure. It'll probably hit here, but in our other version, it was going to escape to mostly freedom there too, right? So it wasn't. We weren't happy about a 6-2 anyway. So it's kind of maybe we make some of the best numbers for our opponents like a little bit better, but on a 6-3, a 6-4, a 6-5, numbers like this, now our opponent's going to be hopping out and trying to find freedom, and they're going to face a double shot, right? Maybe if the 6-1 or 6-2 were going to just park here and clean up, they would be facing a double shot now too instead, right? Where so they lose that kind of option of finding a little more safety and freedom. Um, so yeah, by placing this extra checker in the outfield, we see more of the outfield, and we're more prepared to contain this back checker when it tries to run. And that's the major priority in this game. That's how we're going to win. And we can see that it's only sixes that our opponent escapes with, and they're in a little bit of a trouble behind the prime. So we're actually doing pretty well in small favorites after a play like that, which maybe is a bit of a surprise to me with the massive racing lead we have and how it looks like black, for that reason, can get knocked back a couple times and still have the racing lead. And so they should have a lot of time to escape. But the reason it's such a problem for black here, if we get through this next sequence, is that black is out of timing on the front position. If they don't roll that 6 very quickly, they're starting to lose structure and break down already, right? They just don't have a lot of spares we can see in their position to play with. And so they're under a lot of pressure to solve this back checker situation quickly. So I think that plays into it quite a bit too. The last thing I'll point out with this too is that if our game plan is to contain, well, we also wouldn't mind just extending the prime from the back. We want to see the outfield. That's a big piece of it. But we keep all our checkers active toward making the 8-point or something like this too. When we advance to the 5, it might give us a couple rolls that make the 3-point. And it gives us 2 rolls that are going to attack on the deuce. Maybe we'll hit loose, but of course we're outboarded, so we're not super excited to follow that game plan and hit loose. It's not attacking isn't that comfortable here, right? And so what I wanted to point out is that playing in 10 to 5 is more in line with an attacking game plan, where we're not exactly favored here, right? And staying outside is more in line with containment and priming. So we can find it with this game plan focus too. If we think about staying out there, maybe we can consolidate the 17 to 10 to make a blocking point when our opponent tries to run later, things like this. But this is a little bit front loaded. This is exactly what we want if we want to follow through closing out. But we have 10 checkers in the zone with 3 back, which means our attack is going to be a little weaker, and our opponent has a 4-point board again, which is like their main asset here, right? So we're kind of playing into their game plan by playing this way too. Even though it looks like we're going to have good distribution for following up on that, that's not exactly what we want to do. We want the fight to be in the outfield instead, not in the inner board quite yet. It's even rolling a 4-3 to make the 2-point if our opponent doesn't escape. It's a good thing, but a lot of times we actually want to avoid plays like that because it commits us to this more attacking structure, and we're never going to make the pure 5 prime anymore. It's going to be very hard to fill in the 3 points and end up extending our prime that way. So we get committed somewhat by trying to play an attacking game plan into our less ideal plan as well. So yeah, a lot of things going on in this position that make it kind of tricky to figure out. Maybe it's not at the top of your mind to hop out and volunteer. Maybe it just seems totally reasonable to play it in safe. But I also have noticed that when the game is close to 50-50 here like this, where there's a lot going on for both players and the next sequence could decide it, this is where some of the biggest swings in equity are available. And so maybe if we were only fighting for like winning a couple percent of games, the magnitude of this bigger play wouldn't be so large. But here it's the difference between being an underdog and a favorite. And so the equity swings on that are magnified even. So yeah, when those are going on, another way to think about that is when we still have really good chances of winning, we've got to find plays that try to win instead of playing not to lose by cleaning up blots and not being hit, right? We can find something that plays to try to more decisively win by coming out here, controlling the outfield, and having a big advantage against this back checker. That's another way to think about it that might bring you to the best play more often. Tricky position. I don't know if you'll be able to find these kinds of plays over the board every time with that kind of explanation, but at least you can look at a position like this and understand why on earth would hopping out and volunteering be better if you don't have that in your arsenal already, right? And so I've given a couple points to look at that. That it contains on the running rolls that we're focused on. That the aces get a little bit of paid back, right? So we're not too worried about those. But the focus is just containing this back checker, and this is going to be the most effective way to do that. So yeah, hope that helps you with your strategic analysis and getting better at backgammon. Let me know what you think of these videos, and I'll be back with more position analysis videos soon. Thanks, everybody.